Katie and Shane a big round of applause.
All right, so as he said, we are college students. Now we were. We did this as a research project for one of our graduate level
courses.
Yes, graduate level information security courses. The idea behind this was thought of not out of malice or sexual deviant, but just out of pure curiosity. So, all right.
So, we're going to start this off with a couple of questions, and we want you to think about this throughout our talk.
So the concept for this came from these stemming questions. Can compromising these devices lead to sexual assault if security controls are not implemented? Is the vendor liable for not securing their applications due to the loss of data? And can the information that is stored be considered protected health information? We asked multiple professionals and none of them gave us any answers, so it's whatever you think. Lawyers just like to say, it depends. So it depends. But you'll see these types of articles in the paper about these IoT devices or these smart dildos, whatever you want to call them, snooping on customers and losing data and allowing people to control them remotely. So the summary of what we'll cover throughout this talk is listed out here. And Katie will explain a little bit.
Yeah, so basically our inspiration actually came from something that Shane saw at DEF CON. He saw the Internet of Dongs there. It's a, I guess, research project that's for internet-connected dildos, research on it to find and secure those. The next thing is, we did look into two different types of devices. One was the Vibes, and the vendor actually ended up fixing it right before, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months right before we started looking into it, which is great. That's great reception. And then after that, we're going to talk about our analysis of the eyeball device, and then suggested mitigations and problems caused by the vulns that we found, and then a demo. Yeah, I'm not a speaker, so don't know.
Yeah, so the influence of the project came from the Internet of Dongs project, which was sponsored by Pornhub. There you go. And their goal is to enhance the privacy, security, and safety by educating IoT manufacturers on risks and devices that are available on the market. They also created the Dong Vulnerability Exposure, the DVE, which is synonymous with CVE, but special. And then if you're very curious, you can go check out their website. They have lots of stuff. Also, disclaimer, when we were doing our research project, we were unable to get a hold of the vendor. So all of the things we found are still in the wild. Don't use it for malice unless you really want to. But I didn't tell you, and this didn't happen, so responsible disclosure, something.
Okay, and so, alright, so here we just have, you guys may know about this, there are common problems seen among IoT devices just in general. Some of those being, of course, poor access control. They're always connected to the internet for the most part and easy to access. And then the other one is, a lot of the times we'll see common application flaws. So for example, our APIs will not have authentication enabled, or different encryption mechanisms are non-police. Okay, and so what we found here is, like many other IoT devices, our device that we analyzed, both devices were using Bluetooth Low Energy. Oh.
There you go. You're good. Yeah, all the way up there.
Yeah, so our device was using Bluetooth Low Energy, and this is pretty easy to snif. So we just purchased this Adafruit sniffer. It was, what, like $30? And went from there.
No, don't give that to him.
Oh no, he has the mic now. Okay, so some of the improvements we found with the device that we looked at first, in a paper that was published back in December of 2017, were that the following things occurred. So they had a chat application as a part of the entire application for the program for the device, and there's no encryption implemented. So when you were chatting with your significant other or random on the internet, some other random person on the internet could intercept that, and then also send vibration codes over the internet. Now, you might not think that that's necessarily bad or who would get off on that, but as we found earlier this week in a Reddit posting that I think Aaron posted to the SecKC Slacks, that people get off on using TeamViewer to use your computer and click on stuff, so I guess this counts too. There are also Bluetooth low energy security mechanisms such as MAC address randomization that had not been implemented that could help prevent someone from finding these devices out in the wild and just connecting to them and having a good time. So our review of the device is that they did implement security for the XMPP encryption and use SSL pinning to prevent man-in-the-middle, which we tried to do. And then the device was still discoverable and connectable via BLE, however, BLE session had encryption, so it was harder to see what was going on.
Yeah, surprisingly, they implemented that in like 2 months, which is pretty great. And so this is just a PCAP here. You guys can read through it, I guess, but just confirming that they did implement encryption for their chat sessions. Okay, and so now we'll go into the eyeball, the good app. So basically, the eyeball application, the eyeball consists of an actual device here, and this connects to a phone here via Bluetooth, of course, and you just get an application that assists with the connection through your app store or whatever. And so it's interesting because if you actually go to the website for the eyeball, they do advertise that it's a device where you can get medical assistance. It's a Kegel exerciser, and so we found that to be kind of questionable. So moving on.
We find it both questionable that the doctor was a doctor of sexology at some random university in China, and also odd because the app is, we'll show you here in a second, I don't know how it can qualify as medical advice. This is just me. So the first thing we looked at was the permissions of the app. One thing while going through this project is that a lot of these, well, we won't say awful applications, but a lot of applications have expansive permissions. And that's not always a bad thing, and that's something you have to keep in mind, is that sometimes the developers write these applications, they use older versions of the Android API, which requires these, well, awful settings. So it needs access to all these things just to function as a device. So like wake, lock, and vibrate, well, obviously vibrate, but I don't know how you can make, that one makes sense to me. Wake lock is because you don't want your thing turning off in the middle of a session, right? I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose too, especially if you're set it to like 10 seconds, I don't know. Write settings, that's just a basic permission for writing to a log file. I don't know why you'd want a log file, but that's okay. Bluetooth and Bluetooth admin. Bluetooth admin is needed to connect to the device, as we'll show you here, that the application will connect to the device for you, or anyone else can as well. Change Wi-Fi state, and the rest of these are just basic things that you would just see in, or most regular apps have Wi-Fi stuff. Also, if they're leaking your data to the Russian government, you'll see that too.
Okay, so this is just an overview basically of what we found. So it's possible to do a man-in-the-middle attack, session hijacking, DOS, and then there are also privacy concerns that we think are pretty significant. Basically, a lot of these do apply to BLE and the application. We'll show you. I don't know, you can read them, I suppose. But the privacy concerns that we did realize, or that we did find, because I think this is interesting, were that the application does collect some information like your age, your childbirth date, method of childbirth, exercise progress data, and then photos. So in some cases, that's a decent amount of information to collect all combined. So we'll see. And so this is somewhat related to our demo. Basically, the eyeball, so with most BLE devices, they're always advertising. You can find them anywhere. This was us just finding the eyeball broadcasting here. So we can see, if someone were using this eyeball and you were nearby, you could find this too with just a Bluetooth app. And then, so what we did was, while the eyeball was connected to a phone, we went ahead and just took a PCAP of it, and that allowed us to find one of the vibration codes. And so we'll see it. It's highlighted over there.
So when we use the sniffer, the NRF sniffer to find this, we won't be doing that in the part of the demo because it's a pain in the ass. So BLE advertises on 3 separate channels. The crappy device we got only listens to 1 at a time, and that's random. So your best chances of getting it right are 1 out of 3, or in my chance, 1 out of 100, because I only got it once. So I don't know how the math adds up there, but it didn't work. So it took quite a few trial and error to even get this. But I guess if you're not cheap students like us, or were, then it would be quite easy to just capture all of the signals and replay them back to the device. Oh, so some mitigations that could have been implemented are shown here. So there are different security modes of BLE that a developer can pick when designing their products. And Level 1, the basic one, does not enforce any security at all, none whatsoever. Just do what you want, man in the middle, have fun. And then the security mode of 1, nothing, digital signing is not enforced. Higher modes provide the ability to support signing. And then there was no MAC address randomization, and advertisement were just out saying who they were. So like university level security right here, if you're at a school.
Boo.
What's that mean?
Ask Julie.
Yeah, Julie.
Ask Julie about her hacker.
Okay, and so to use this app and actually store your data, you can use it without an account, but if you want to store your data, you're going to sign up and make an account. And so what we found, we took a PCAP and found that when a user signs in, their credentials were sent in the clear, but, you know, of course, their password was encrypted with an MD5 hash, so I guess that's enough here. As you can see, we used a simple password, and we were able to find that.
Turn it on.
Not yet.
Come on,
You're too soon.
Too quick.
You just wait.
That's what she said.
Oh, Julie. Hold on there.
Get off on standing Bluetooth.
Oh, I know you do. I do too. That's why I did this. So there's the PCAP of the login. It just is the same thing that we just went over. So they're also an API, which is fantastic because they use none of it. Like three of the methods in here is all they use. Everything else, all the other endpoints were stolen from another app, which we'll get to here in a second. They did implement this. So what it does when you log in is it'll send a GET request to this endpoint here with your password and MD5 hash and the username just in the plain, and then the language, so that's cool. And that's how you obtain your session token. The best part about the session tokens is that they don't expire, and you can reuse them as long as you want. I had one when I logged into this when we did this presentation 6 months ago, and it still worked. And then I was even on a different device too, so that's the best part. What is security? So you get your session token, and then you're able to visit this web page. Just hit it with a GET request, and then that session token in the header, and then you can get. Right here we have a profile picture from the account.
This is my friend's cat. He's great.
It's your cat.
She doesn't have a cat. So some mitigations that could have been done were simple things. One, why would you ever put your password in the arguments for a GET or POST request? I do not know. Passwords probably should be salted and then hashed and then salted. And then authentication information should be transmitted with TLS, probably definitely 1.2. And then the API should require authentication for all protected endpoints. Some of them did not. And then also the traffic between the device. So next we're going to go into a demonstration. Hopefully it works. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Just do it live. F it.
Fuck $5.
Fuck $5. That's about how much this entire...
Volunteer!
Does anyone have a device they wanted to volunteer tonight? No? Okay. We'll take some questions. Okay, so here we have a VM with Android, because I wasn't doing this on my phone, because the government will find out. So, a couple of things. Yeah, I do. I gotta pull it up. So a couple of things is, we have this device here. It's kind of fantastic. We brought it with us. It doesn't look like a dong, so that should be okay.
It's a Kegel exerciser.
Yes. Why would it work? All right, there it goes. So it's on and blinking if anyone wants to take a look, but we'll look for you. So this is Julie's profile here. She said that was okay. I actually didn't ask. I just told her I was doing it.
I did not consent.
It's fine. It's not hers. I promise. Why would she spell her name wrong? I don't know why. I gotta turn Bluetooth on first. Oh, here we go. So the device broadcasts its name because it's very proud of itself. So if you ever see eyeball anywhere, you know that your neighbor, you probably shouldn't go knocking on the door. They're doing exercises. This is a medical device. You don't want to interrupt their training regimen. If someone's messing with it, that's not cool. I didn't bring my Faraday bag. That was a bummer. Probably a bad idea. Bluetooth is on.
Try again, Shane.
Oh,
I didn't do it.
I don't believe you. Julie would never. Connect to me. Okay, so you cannot do this feel the tightness regimen, which is a good one. I suggest it highly. So there's the courses. So this is if you want to, the doctor of sexology in China suggests these. I do not. So we can right here just do the tender massage. There it is. Oh, it's going to fall off the table. I should turn it off. Okay. No, just let it fall off. So with that quick demonstration, we do know that it works, and the app does control it. So the best part is that I want to control it. So I'm going to disconnect from it. I disconnected. It's gone. It's not there. I'll turn off Bluetooth to prove it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on my phone, and that code that we found earlier, I'll go ahead and connect to this device from not the app, and then I will play a vibration.
Go.
It's not as strong because I didn't pick the right one, but it did work, I promise you. So the other thing, yes. That's only half the fun though. See, if you want, we can turn on Wireshark and we can take a look at those packets. I don't want to save those. Bad stuff in there. So we can go to the app, we can log in the not Julie's profile, because we all know Julie would definitely pick a dick butt. So we want to go into her account, JFUG, okay. So we want to change her age, let's change it to 22.
23.
23, okay. And then the date cannot be, I don't know what that translates to, but it doesn't make sense to me, so we're going to say yes. Oh, childbirth, okay. What, vaginal or C-section? I don't know. So this is where the medical information comes into effect, and this could probably be considered medical information. And if you're, I don't see how it helps with your private lessons of the courses. It didn't seem to, the assessments that I had didn't seem to change based on what I picked. Well, so the best part is there's also games too. I guess I should show you. There's games. If you want to fish, you can fish. Because it also helps, if you squeeze it, it also sends signals back. So it not just sends signals from the device, it'll also tell you how strong your hand is. I don't know what else it's used for besides checking your palm strength. So I think I got enough here. Oh, here we go. Set user information birthway. Okay.
Squeeze it harder.
Yeah, nickname JFUG right here. Here's her token. Age 23. Go good. Let's open it up. See it. Oh, there it is. So it just sends it right in the header. It's not even in the header, just right in the URL, just hanging out there. So even with encryption, this wouldn't really do anything. So if you see eyeball, here's my token. If anyone wants it, you can go change Julie's profile. She'll appreciate it because it's all false. I could tell you the password too, but I think you can just figure that out yourself. It's probably in the token somewhere. Okay. That was fun. So that was a demonstration. Oh, maybe not. So basically what we went over is the lack of encryption, the lack of access control, and the ability to take over a device and send whatever you want to it. So say the person just wants to play the fishing game without it vibrating, well, you can have it vibrate while they're playing the fishing game. Maybe they don't like that. So we'll go over the questions. I'll let you.
Yeah, so back to our initial questions. What we ask is, can compromising these devices lead to sexual assault if security controls are not implemented? And is the vendor liable for data loss because they didn't secure the applications properly? And lastly, can this information that's stored be considered health information in some ways? And so we want to know what you think.
Yes, all three.
Julie.
I'm feeling violated right now, but yes, all three.
So Julie says yes to all three. I agree. I don't know if the law does, and that's the sad part. Because I think if you showed this to any of the senators, at least in this state, they would just throw up in their mouths. I don't know. Maybe they're into this. Some of them. I don't know. It depends. It depends. As all the several lawyers I asked these questions to, they were all like, it depends. So there's that. Oops. So the future, more devices. So the Internet of Dongs has a list of dongs, if you would believe it, that they need to be looked at. And if anyone has time to take a look at a dong, I suggest hitting their webpage. I think it's internetofdon.gs. So if you're interested. Developers should probably be taking this more seriously, because we did try to reach out, and I don't know, crickets. Or maybe they're busy building another one, I don't know. Or stealing one. I guess they were trying to, so I found several other devices like this and applications that almost exactly the same, but with better resolution. So I'd assume that they were stolen, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, I didn't create it, so who knows what they were doing. And then probably a more focus on security.
I guess, but on a serious note, these things are where we're headed because they're pretty common, and so brings up some big questions, deep questions about what can be too much violation. All right, and so that's our talk.